I will call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and I was informed there's a change to the agenda.
Yes, we would like to amend the agenda to remove item 5B, Planning Commissioner appointments.
Okay. Any other changes?
No, ma'am.
All right. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda with the change? Okay, anyone want a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And then public comment. So this is the opportunity to comment on items not listed on the agenda, if anyone has anything.
I assume we're talking about the, you're talking about zoning this, property over here for development by the school, is that right?
Yes, that's on the agenda today, yeah.
Okay. Is there open commentary later on that, or? Okay.
Yes.
I'm mostly here just to kind of gather information.
Sure, yeah. Yep, so there'll be time to come up and ask questions and listen to the presentation, and, yep,
Perfect.
yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, announcements. So Commissioner Joel, you're leaving. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it, so thanks. And then approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the following minutes for February 24th, 2026. Did anybody see any changes? No, I didn't see anything. I'll make a motion to approve. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, public hearing. So Eagle View Meadows, Joseph Sullivan applicant, consider request to rezone property from UR Urban Reserve to R2 Urban Single Family Residential. And then consider request for preliminary plat approval of Eagle View Meadows.
Awesome, thank you. Let me just get my presentation set up here. Okay, so tonight I'll be presenting on the proposed development, Eagle View Meadows. The applicant, Joe Sullivan, has applied to rezone the property shown in red from Urban Reserve to Urban Single Family Residential, and for preliminary plat approval of Eagle View Meadows containing 194 lots and 6 outlots on 81.83 acres. So the subject property is 81.83 gross acres. A concept plan was reviewed by the Parks Commission, Planning Commission, and City Council back in 2025. The property is currently zoned Urban Reserve, and the application to rezone would change this to R2 Single Family Residential. The proposed development is located in the northwestern portion of the city. The image shown on the slide indicates that the subject parcels are not located in the city limits of Elko, New Market, but I want to clarify that these parcels were annexed into the city earlier this year. So this slide shows the submitted preliminary plat. This will be shown throughout the presentation and remain at the screen, on the screen at the end for discussion. All right, to the south of the proposed development are 2 rural properties. One is vacant, the other contains a single-family residence. Both of these properties are located outside of the city limits, but within the city's planned 2040 growth area and guided for low-density residential. To the east of the proposed development are large lot rural residential properties, approximately 10 acres in size with single-family detached homes constructed on most of them. The properties to the east are located outside of city limits, but within the city's planned 2040 growth area and guided for low-density residential. To the north of the development are large lot rural residential properties, approximately 10 acres in size, with single-family detached homes constructed on most of them. The properties to the north are located outside of the city limits, outside of the planned 2040 growth area, but are within the city's ultimate sewer service boundary. To the west of the proposed development is the Highlands at Eagle View development and the New Prague Elementary School Eagle View, both of which are located in the city of Elko, New Market. The city's adopted comprehensive plan zones the subject property as low-density residential. The low-density residential district is characterized by low densities that provide opportunities for a variety of detached single-family housing options and require 2.5 to 5 units per acre. The proposed development is 2.96 units per acre, with 196 proposed housing units on 65.59 net acres, falling within the allowable density threshold. Residential detached single-family homes meets the intent of the currently guided land use for the area. So as I said, the current property is currently zoned urban reserve. The property must be rezoned to a zoning district consistent with the purpose and the intent of the comp plan prior to development, and the developer is proposing R2 urban single-family residential. So city code contains criteria that the planning commission should consider when reviewing a request for a zoning amendment or rezoning. The proposed action has been considered in relation to the specific policies and provisions and has been found to be consistent with the official city comprehensive plan. The proposed use is or will be compatible with present and future land uses of the area. The proposed use conforms with all performance standards contained in the title. The proposed use can be accommodated with existing public services and will not overburden the city's service capacity. And traffic generation by the proposed use is within capabilities of streets serving the property. And staff believes that the request to rezone the property to R2 single-family residential meets the above stated criteria for rezoning. So the table shown on this slide illustrates that the proposed development meets the standards of the R2 zoning district, including lot size, width, and setbacks. So they're asking for no changes, no PUD or anything like that. The zoning and subdivision ordinance require additional lot depth and a minimum 20-foot wide landscape buffer for double frontage lots which back up to a major collector street. We have 3 major collector streets in conversation here. Nevada Avenue, 255th, and Dakota Avenue are all designated as major collector streets, so that 20-foot landscape buffer will apply to them. The typical minimum lot depth is 120 feet, so therefore they'll need 140 feet for lots that back up to Nevada, 255th, and Dakota. The preliminary plat drawing shows the 140-foot lot depth on the appropriate lots, and it depicts screening trees in the appropriate locations. So the tree preservation requirements as laid out in the subdivision ordinance state that 40% of significant trees must be preserved. And based on aerial photography, there appears to be only a small handful of trees located along property lines. And Pioneer Engineering, working with the developer, has stated on the plans that no significant trees exist on this property. The subdivision ordinance requires that 10-foot wide perimeter easements and 5-foot wide interior easements be dedicated along all lot lines, and 10-foot easements are required along property lines that abut undeveloped properties. Drainage and utility easements are appropriately depicted on the preliminary plat drawing, except on proposed lot 181, which is highlighted in that little graphic, where the easement along the north property line needs to be expanded from 5 feet to 10 feet. There's also a warranty deed that is referenced in favor of Northern Natural Gas, which appears to be a blanket easement, and this will need to be amended and confined to a specific area prior to final plat approval. The city's 2040 sanitary sewer plan shows that the subject property is in Sewer District W5 and will be served by a lift station on the west side of the property. That system lift station was recently installed in the adjacent Highlands at Eagleview development. The new lift station and associated force main in Nevada Avenue can serve the proposed development. On to water. The city's 2040 water plan depicts a future 12-inch trunk water main running east and west through the subject property and in Dakota Avenue on the east side of the property. Water service is currently available on the west side of the property in both 255th and 253rd Street. 12-inch main exists in 255th and an 8-inch main exists in 253rd. Staff note that the city's 2040 water plan will be implemented with the development by extending the 12-inch water main at 255th Street east across the development to Dakota Avenue and to the south of 255th. The city reimburses the cost of oversizing for any water mains greater than 8 inches in size, and the developer is proposing to stub water to adjacent undeveloped properties. So a major watershed district boundary runs through this property. The northeastern portion of the property lies within the Vermilion River watershed district, and surface water flows towards the north and northeast. The remaining portion of the property lies within the Scott Watershed Management District, and surface flows towards the west and northwest. The portion of the property lying within the Scott Watershed Management District, which is shown in the black hatch on the map there, has discharge rates more stringent than the existing runoff rate matching scheme allowed in other areas of the city. These extra restrictions were a commitment by the city to the township as part of stormwater improvements associated with the school development and are meant to protect downstream properties from erosion and from flooding. The plan depicts 5 stormwater ponding areas within the development. The 10-foot vegetative buffer and 35-foot building setbacks should be clearly identified in the plan set. All ponds and buffers are to be contained in outlots and conveyed to the city upon filing of the plat. And there is sufficient access for city maintenance to get to all ponds. So there's an existing drain tile through the subject property which provides agricultural drainage for the property to the south. The drain tile continues through the subject property and continues through the property to the north, with the approximate location being shown on the drawing there in blue, teal, I guess. There may be other tile lines unknown to the city, but the drain tile line through the subject property will be removed and drainage rerouted through the storm sewer system within the plat. So there's one small wetland that exists, about 0.23 acres, along the west side of the property. The wetland is protected under the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act. The developer is proposing to impact the wetland by filling it and purchasing wetland credits from a wetland bank. The wetland replacement plan application is currently under review. So any recommendations regarding the preliminary plat tonight must be conditioned on approval of the wetland replacement plan. There are no FEMA designated floodplains or DNR protected waters or wetlands on the subject property. So the proposed development borders on 2 existing public streets, Dakota Avenue on the east and Nevada on the west. The city's transportation plan depicts a future road corridor, which is 255th, running east-west through the subject property. All these streets are major collectors identified in the city's transportation plan. So the purpose of a major collector is typically to link neighborhoods together within a city or link neighborhoods to business concentrations. Access to collector roadways should be made via local streets, and private access should be prohibited. A 10-foot trail should be on one side of a major collector and a 5-foot sidewalk on the other. Public street connections to major collectors should be at least 660 feet apart. So Dakota Avenue. It's currently a gravel township road identified as a future major collector street. The existing right-of-way on Dakota is 66 feet, so an additional 17 feet of right-of-way is proposed to be dedicated as part of the plat. The developer must pay to improve Dakota from the northern edge of the property to the intersection of Dakota and James Parkway upon final plat approval for the final easterly third of the proposed development, or approval of a final plat that connects to Dakota, whichever comes first. Dakota Avenue to be improved to a 40-mile-per-hour design speed rural section and must have 26 feet minimum of pavement width, with gravel shoulders being allowed. And there will be a 10-foot trail, 10-foot wide trail on the west side of Dakota as well. So Nevada Avenue abuts the property on the west. Nevada Avenue is identified as a future major collector street on the city's transportation plan. The portion of Nevada south of 255th is currently an improved city street, and the portion north of 255th does not exist. The northerly extension of Nevada Avenue is not proposed to be constructed as part of this plat, but the right-of-way is going to be dedicated so the road can be constructed between 250th Street and 255th Street sometime in the future. The developer will be required to grade the bench for future street, so homeowners adjacent to it are aware it's going to be there someday, and to plant low-maintenance landscaping on the portion of Nevada west of the lots. So 255th Street is also identified as a major collector, as I've said. It exists on the west side of the property and is proposed to be extended east from Nevada Avenue to Dakota Avenue as part of the plat. The new section of 255th will be 32 feet wide within a 100-foot right-of-way, with a 10-foot trail on the south side and a 5-foot 5-foot sidewalk on the north side. The road as proposed meets the requirements of the city's zoning and subdivision ordinance, and staff notes that pursuant to the pre-development agreement, 255th can't connect to Dakota until Dakota is paved. So there are several local streets depicted on the proposed plat, all meeting city code requirements. Local streets are proposed at 28 feet in width with B618 curbing within a 60-foot right-of-way with sidewalks on one side and temporary cul-de-sacs where the street exceeds 150 feet in length. So there was a traffic study requested as part of the application because the proposed development is expected to generate 100 or more new AM or PM peak hour vehicle trips and 750 or more new daily vehicle trips. Staff was primarily interested to see the impact of the proposed development on the intersections at County Road 27 and 255th, County Road 2 in Dakota. The traffic study was prepared by TC2 and dated March 13th, 2026. The traffic study reviewed existing conditions, 2030 forecasts without the proposed development, and 2030 forecasts with the proposed development. Exhibits within the traffic study show existing and projected traffic and turning movements for 3 scenarios. So intersection levels of service, or LOS, are measures used to evaluate traffic performance at intersections, ranging from A, which is free-flowing, to F, which experiences delays. LOS A through D are generally considered acceptable. LOS E represents an intersection operating at or near capacity, and LOS F represents an intersection exceeding capacity. The grades are measured in the seconds of delay per vehicle at any given intersection. So projected traffic volumes on the surrounding road network are within the capacity capabilities of the surrounding roads. The traffic study concluded that the intersection LOS at all intersections evaluated as part of the study will be within the acceptable range of LOS A through C. And some key takeaways from the traffic study include all study intersections and approaches are acceptable to continue to operate at an acceptable LOS C or better during the typical weekday peak hours, regardless of the development. And no future operational issues are anticipated, and no mitigation is needed to accommodate the proposed development from an intersection capacity perspective. So the preliminary plat submitted depicts sidewalks and trails throughout the development as required by the city's subdivision ordinance, and it is consistent with the comp plan. So sidewalks are proposed on one side of all local streets. A trail and sidewalk are proposed along 255th. Trails proposed on the west side of Dakota, and a sidewalk on the east side of Nevada. On to parks-related comments. So the city's subdivision ordinance requires 8% of the land be dedicated for parks, playgrounds, public open spaces, or trails, and the developer shall make a cash contribution to the city's park and trail fund, roughly related to the anticipated effect of the plat on the park and trail system. If no land dedication is required, the park fee has been established at 8% of the fair market value. So the city's 2040 Park and Trail Plan depicts a neighborhood park search area in the vicinity of the property, and the Parks Commission made the following recommendations regarding park dedication for the plat. So they recommended full parkland dedication for the proposed development, which is 8%. Parkland location to be centrally located along the southerly edge of the plat, which you'll see in the next slide. So that as properties to the south develop, additional land can be added to the park through additional park dedication and eventually comprise an ice big park. Land to be dedicated for park purposes must have topography and configuration conducive to developing the park with facilities typically found within a neighborhood park. And also to construct sidewalks and trails per city code that I described earlier in this presentation. So during the review of the concept plan, the Planning Commission and City Council concurred with the recommendation of the Parks Commission regarding park dedication. The park dedication requirement for this plat is 6.55 acres. Proposed Outlot E contains a stormwater pond and proposed 6.92 acre park area, as shown on the plans there on the slide. Staff notes that the most recent grading plan for the park area shows a shallow basin intended for drainage, which then outlets to the north. And this shallow basin area should be removed and redesigned so that the intended park area is usable for facilities typically found within that type of park. So on to miscellaneous items. The developer held the neighborhood meetings on February 10th and 11th of this year. The purpose of the neighborhood meeting was just to introduce the project to adjacent landowners and for the developer to receive informal comments and questions prior to this public hearing tonight. This one's lengthy, I apologize, but so ghost plat of adjacent property. City code requires that the developers provide ghost plats to demonstrate that cohesive development between the parcels can occur. A ghost plat is an additional requirement laid out in our city code for the purpose of ensuring proper roadway alignments in the event of future development on these adjacent parcels. Accepting a ghost plat does not indicate city support or approval. The developer has provided a ghost plat for the property to the north, showing only conceptual roadway alignments. The plan confirms that the location of the planned road and utility connections within the proposed plat are planned in reasonable locations that allow continuation of roads and utilities into adjacent properties going into the future. Staff also note that there are a multitude of ways that the property to the north could develop based on the planned street connections. And we also always want to say that city growth only occurs when a willing seller sells land to a willing buyer. So properties to the north and west of the proposed development are platted. So staff have overlaid the adjacent plats on an aerial photograph to depict how the existing plats and proposed plat align with one another. In addition, staff reviewed a concept plan for the property to the south a few years back, which is also shown on the aerial overlay. The overlay is an attachment to the memorandum in your packets. And considering how adjacent properties can develop to create larger scale cohesive neighborhoods is an extremely important element of long-term planning. So the city engineer has reviewed the preliminary plat, and his comments are shown in the red line preliminary plat and red line stormwater management plan, both dated 3/25/26. The Public Works Director has reviewed the preliminary plat submittal, and his comments have also been incorporated into this report and red line plans. City Attorney has reviewed the proposed rezoning and preliminary plat and has no additional comments. The Police Chief reviewed it as well and recommends that the city engineer determine appropriate traffic controls at the intersections of 255th and Nevada Dakota. And the Fire Department and building official have no comments at this time. So we reached out to the school districts. The proposed development is in the New Prague Area School District. The school district superintendent was advised of the proposed plat, and a letter from the superintendent is also attached to this packet. The letter documents the capacity of Eagleview Elementary School to serve the proposed development, as well as capacity of other schools in the district. So, as I mentioned earlier, this property has been annexed into the city of Elko New Market following a petition of the property owner. The annexation was completed by a joint resolution of the city and the township, which is a mutual agreement regarding the terms of annexation. And some township comments. New Market Township officials are aware of the proposed development. The town board's primary concerns were related to transportation and the improvement of Dakota Avenue adjacent to the plat. The township's recommendations have been incorporated into the pre-development agreement with the city developer, a joint powers agreement with the city, and the orderly annexation agreement. The city will assume maintenance of Dakota Avenue once it's paved. So the Planning Commission is being asked to hold a public hearing tonight and provide recommendations to the City Council on the following items. Number one being application to rezone the property from Urban Reserve to R2, and application for preliminary plat approval of Eagleview Meadows containing 194 lots and 6 outlots on 81.83 acres. And as it relates to the request to rezone from Urban Reserve to R2, staff recommends approval of the request for these reasons. Rezoning the property to R2 is consistent with our comp plan, which guides the property to low-density residential. The proposed use of the property for single-family residential development is compatible with present and future uses of the area. The proposed use and development of the property complies with performance standards contained in the zoning and subdivision ordinance. The proposed residential use of the property can be accommodated with the existing public services and is not going to overburden our capacity. And traffic generation by the proposed development is within the capabilities of existing streets and intersections that serve the property. Now, as it relates to the request for preliminary plat approval, staff recommend approval of the request for preliminary plat containing 194 lots on 65.59 net acres for the following reasons. The development of the property for single-family residential homes, again, meets the intent of 2040 comp plan, which guides the property to low-density residential land. And as I stated earlier, it does fit within that density threshold. The proposed plat complies with the city's zoning and subdivision ordinances. So staff recommend approval of the request for preliminary plat with the following conditions. The plat approved is subject to conditions of the pre-development agreement between the city, the township, and the developer, Joe Sullivan. The plat approved is subject to the approval of the wetland replacement plan application, and the developer assumes all risks associated with preparing the preliminary plat application in advance of the action on the wetland replacement application. If that application is not approved, the plat will need to be revised accordingly. The developer must enter a development contract with the city at the time of final plat, and the preliminary plat is issued for a period of 1 year and shall become null and void without further action from either this commission or the city council unless the final plat is filed within 1 year of the date of city council granting preliminary plat. Continued, the plat approved is granted in accordance with Eagleview Meadows preliminary plan plan set prepared by Pioneer Engineering and dated March 6th of this year, and the stormwater management plan dated January 19th. The plat approval is subject to conditions contained in the 3/31/26 Planning Commission memorandum, the red line preliminary plat plans, and the red line stormwater management plan. A 10-foot wide vegetative buffer and 35-foot building setback from the ordinary high water level of all ponds must be clearly depicted on the plans. The northern natural gas easement recorded on the property must be amended and confined to a specific area prior to final plat approval. And the existing drainage pattern, which provides drainage to the properties to the south, must be perpetuated, including the continuation of drainage through the existing drain tile system. Proposed outlot E, containing a stormwater pond and the park, must be dedicated to the city at the time of final plat approval. And just some additional notes. There was no significant trees, as we noted earlier, so that's good. And then a traffic study prepared by TC2 and dated March 13th of this year concluded that no future traffic operational issues are anticipated on the surrounding transportation system, and no mitigation is needed to accommodate the proposed development from an intersection capacity perspective. All study intersections and approaches are expected to continue to operate at an acceptable level of service C or better during the typical weekday peak hours, regardless of if the proposed development goes forward or not. And that's the end of my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So, commissioners, do you have any comments, questions? Anything you want to review?
No.
Was that early annexation agreement signed with the township in February?
I thought it was January, but I'm not sure.
Probably around there.
The reason I ask is I don't remember it, and I missed the February meeting, so I don't remember.
I did my very well keep it on by now.
And the other question I have is improvement of Dakota, you mentioned to a 40-mile-per-hour road, rural road, beyond the paved part, are you looking to the township to do that, or?
Yeah, I mean, so the improvements with this would be restricted to the limits of the development. So
Was that in the
we wouldn't be
agreement?
changing the geometry of the gravel road section.
Was that in your early annexation agreement? It was.
I believe that was part of the pre-development agreement, and there's two agreements that are in there, is the pre-development agreement and orderly annexation agreement. The orderly annexation agreement is between the city and the township, and that gets to the maintenance. But the pre-development agreement with regards to the responsibilities of the developer for improvements, the township is a party to that agreement as well.
And the township agreed to that?
Yes.
Okay.
So to be clear, Harry, so Dakota Avenue will have to be improved from wherever it is to the south. It's improved up to the northerly boundary of the project, but we're not improving north of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought you had mentioned anything beyond the paving would be a 40-mile-per-hour rural road, and that's on the township.
The pavement
Got it.
portion is being designed to a 40-mile-per-hour road.
I misunderstood that. Sorry.
Yeah, so it'd be consistent with other projects when we won't let them connect until it's
Right.
approved. And then once it's approved, city would take over the maintenance of it.
Okay. I would have been surprised if we would have.
Had a rip up
When I wasn't there.
Are there questions, comments?
In the presentation, you had said that there was a neighborhood meeting. What was the feedback that was received at the meeting?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thanks for your time and consideration again tonight. We're glad to be in front of you again to take a solid step towards establishing this neighborhood. Long awaited around the elementary school. It's been there for quite a while, and good job on the presentation, Brandon, appreciate it. We actually had two neighborhood meetings because we goofed on our notification letter. I goofed. There was nothing too serious in the conversations. It was primarily, and I think exclusively, township residents, and they were primarily asking about the time frame for the development, when construction might start, and how long it would take. I recall questions about the school and its capacity to take on additional students. Someone asked about traffic, and I told them we had engaged in a study for that. And a handful of people wanted to let us know that they were going to be selling their properties, and if we were interested, we could contact them. So that was about the extent of it. Do you recall anything beyond that?
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah. So it was just kind of more informational, not really terribly upset, I guess.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And then you had said that this is going to be a phased development. I see 4 phases. So when do you think you're going to break ground then, as we're talking about timelines and?
I would hope this summer yet, this construction season would get started.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have another question. Is it possible if you were to, if someone were to, if the city were to annex the southwest corner on the east side, no, I'm sorry, southeast corner, on the east side of Dakota, there would be a donut hole of township land in the middle. Is that possible? Is that allowed? Could we have township land surrounded by city?
It's possible, but under those circumstances, if it's completely surrounded, typically it would get, it would get annexed under, if, with a high brush, yeah. So are you talking like the Lee property, or are you thinking like the Regis and the Lee properties together?
Yeah, just on, it's on the kitty corner, southeast side of that.
I'll
So
pull, I'll
then
pull
you
up
have
the
this
map.
donut hole in the middle.
I've got an aerial photo, Brandon, if you want me
Just
to pull it up.
curious. I don't.
I'll pull it up.
I should know the answer to that, but I don't.
Are you talking, I'm gonna get up here, cause I'll do Vanna White, it's easier. Are you talking like this area here, or this area here, Harry?
No, my understanding is that was already city.
No, neither of these are currently in the city limits.
We're talking about this property right here, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
And I was talking, I thought this was city.
no, not yet.
I'm sorry. No, yeah, not this. If this were annexed, then this would be a donut hole. This would be, could this be annexed and leave this as township property in the middle of, surrounded by the city? Is that
Yeah.
possible?
It's technically possible, but when you're completely surrounded with services, we'd have to have a discussion with the township at that time. What the status of the property is. There's considerations to be made. One, we typically don't wanna develop a vacant piece of property, or annex a vacant piece of property like that till it's ready to be developed, because, it removes some of the city's discretion with regards to that development. Other considerations would be, how large is it? Is it being served? Is there a benefit really to the city for it to be in the city limits? Is there a huge detriment for the township to be in the city limits? So I guess the best answer is, if something like that happened, we'd talk to the township.
I was thinking of the scenario where those, that quadrant that I depicted,
Yep.
those owners would be willing to sell, but the ones in the middle don't wanna sell. And then are they surrounded by the city?
Yeah,
Is
and
there
that,
a forced annexation?
yeah, I mean,
Just curious.
realistically, I could see where that might potentially happen would be the Regis property. Because the Lee property's vacant, we know it recently changed hands into what appears to be some sort of an investment company. So with, the 80 acres that Mr. Sullivan and his partners are developing to the north, with the Lee property, having been talked about for development for a long time,
Right.
there's the potential that, the Regis property could be surrounded on 3 sides, but on the south side, but there's still the Regis property, the Charlie Regis property on the south side of James Parkway, which is still outside the city limits as well. So it would still, even in that case, would only be on 3 sides. So I think but long-term, the most likely, there is the potential, I think, for the Regis property at some point to have development on all 4 sides if Charlie sells his eastern 40 acres for development at some point.
Right.
There's nothing in the works now, but if that looks like it's gonna happen, we'd have to have a discussion with the township about how that's handled. Whether there's a need for the city to annex it or not, and what that would mean for the property owner and for the township. I don't know if that helped at all.
No, I was just curious if that's even a possible scenario.
Yeah, it depends on whether it becomes problematic. I've talked with, cities where you have these little, and usually where it becomes problematic is you have a couple developed parcels, like there's these 4 homes which are completely surrounded. Here, we're gonna be talking like 40 plus or more acres that may or may not have utilities extended to them. It's a little bit of a different scenario. I think I'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis if it ever actually occurs.
Other questions, comments? You mentioned something about increasing the easement to 5 foot.
Yeah, it's just because that property to the north is undeveloped,
Okay.
so we require 10-foot easements abutting those.
Doesn't cause an issue or anything?
I would think not, no.
What was the 5-foot deep pond you were talking about? Was this little thing by the park? Or,
Can you be more specific?
I thought there was an area by the park that was called to be a ponding area or a drainage area.
Yeah, could you speak to that?
Yeah, so the way it's depicted in the plans right now, there is overland flow kind of on the west side of the park there, and they show kind of a large swale and a little bit of a basin kind of in that northwest corner there. We've chatted with the developer and their engineer about that, and there's some comments in the plans there noting how we would propose adding a structure on the south side there that would pick up some of the drainage from the southerly property, and it'd be right over top of that drain tile. That'd be kind of the discussion talking about how maintaining the drain tile, so that'd be a way to pick up that drain tile there. Size it for your average storm so that you don't have perpetual drainage across that area, pick up the average rainfalls, and then, it would act more of as a emergency overflow or drainage way for those larger storms, which it would be routed through there for those items, but we're trying to avoid where it's constantly wet through there, and then make sure it's usable for parkland.
So it's on the west side.
Kind of the west side, yeah, and the direction, and they're working through that right now, but the idea is get it as far west and make it a subtle swale that's reduce the size as much as possible to maintain as much parkland as possible.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Public hearing?
All right, I will open the public hearing for comment at 7:38 p.m. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Seamus McDevitt. I live at 25365 Dakota Avenue, so directly across the street from the development to the east. I met these fellas a month ago, a few weeks ago, at one of their 2 meetings they had. So I had a handful of questions here. I guess the biggest one that just me and my wife noticed personally, and I know obviously you have your 2040 plan, asking to move a road is a big ask, but based on your map, the 255th coming through to Dakota is coming not directly at our house, but just to the south of the property line. I don't know if it would be a possibility to aim the road more between my property.
This is your.
That's my driveway there. So the road kind of, from what I saw, lined up with my property line in the south. And the neighboring home is on the far end of their property. So I just don't like the idea of headlights coming right at our house every day with all the extra traffic. I don't know what the topography or the elevations of the new road would be. Just knowing that currently it's kind of a, 8 or 10 foot drop down that ditch. So I don't know if that road's going to be coming up and we're going to have headlights kind of pointing up at our house as they're turning, north and south. I know it's kind of a big ask for that, either that or some kind of privacy fence. Would be pretty cool. We were wondering about the power line across the street. Is that going to end up getting buried, or are they going to does it just kind of remain where it's at? I know it services our home and the home to the south of us, and then some others up the street. And if, you know, we're gonna experience power outages with that. I know my wife wanted to know if there's gonna be trees planted. I assume there's probably part of a development, you require trees being planted. I just wanna humor her question. And then it looks like the city's gonna be maintaining the road once it's paved. Is that correct? And what I understand is it's like 3-4 years and you'll get there, and then that's probably when that will occur. I guess one of my neighbors was curious about the 255th dead end road. That's,
This over here?
no, on the other side. So, no, to the east. So south, there's a dead end that goes toward those labor's farm there, that 255th trail. From what I can understand, that I would still be in the township. The properties to the north and south on that road would still be in the township, so would the township be just maintaining that one section of road still? Okay, I mean, people are asking, so. It looks like you answered a lot of the other questions about the traffic and whatnot. Would you be able to, is this all the information you talked about today in your packet gonna be available?
Yeah, it's available online. I can print you a packet to take home.
I would appreciate that, yeah.
Do that before I leave here.
Yeah, so, I mean, essentially, not super excited about the road, but I understand it's part of the 2040 plan, so that's a huge ask to try and make an adjustment.
There are trees all along that end as well, you know, that side that you're talking about. You could pull that up for a
Yep,
second.
will do.
There's a lot of trees along that whole road. What is it, 255th?
You're talking about the road that's not there right now.
Yeah, the one that's, you're projecting to come to your,
Yeah,
towards your house.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of trees they're gonna put on
On the, like,
there, along the boulevard of
So
the road.
there'll be, if you can see my mouse here,
yep,
there'll be a bunch, there'll be 20 feet of staggered trees here.
yeah,
right?
yep.
But, you know, that doesn't, obviously, there's not gonna be trees. at the
Trees
end of
in the road,
Right,
yeah,
so-
yeah, that's the,
And I-
that's the kicker.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, I have some ideas of, you know, what I could maybe do to stop headlights at some point. And then it sounds like, I mean, obviously with your 2040 plan, you can't continue that road to the east until you can purchase everyone's properties. Like, there's no, that's just a pipe dream kind of deal, the 2040 plan?
Yeah, when we do planning, we're looking out up to 100 years.
Yeah, just a educated, like, this would be a, yeah.
Until, yeah, the development doesn't occur
Yeah.
unless somebody's selling their property and
Yeah.
somebody's buying it.
Yep,
So realistically, speaking at a very high level, with acreage lots in that area, people would have to decide that they want to sell, or the market would have to overcome the cost of buying those homes,
Mm-hmm.
take them down to redevelop.
yeah, cause you're talking about 3 10-acre plots plus a massive farm, and that's a big chunk of change.
Right.
Based on my,
Having grown up in the area, and you look at Lakeville, Apple Valley,
yep,
Farmington, they had there are acreage lots out there, but there's a certain market pressure that has to be there,
yeah,
that, where the people in those properties are like, you know what? This is the best option for me, is to sell those properties for development, so we don't anticipate it's gonna be happening anytime in the
Yeah.
near future.
okay.
But we have to plan these road alignments because, you know,
Well, yeah, I understand, I work in construction, so I,
downtown Apple Valley, you know, people would have said, there's no way. Now,
yeah,
it's a super target.
I remember the south, like Lakeville, working around there, it was nothing like it is now, when I was growing up, so. I get it, progress is inevitable, so,
But realistically, if you look at the map, you can see where there's existing rural residential,
yep,
that is obviously not, that's harder to develop because market forces would have to be there to vacant farm fields that are across the
Yeah.
road.
So what are the, I mean, odds of you ever trying to annex like those homes, like me, my neighbor to the north, neighbors to the south, those other longer, 6, 7 acre properties into the city? Is that,
It's been our standing practice for the 2 decades I've been here in our working relationship with the township that we don't annex a property until it's ready to be developed,
Okay.
or we have to for some other
Yep.
compelling reasons.
yeah, I know everyone's kind of asking what's gonna happen with sewer and water and stuff out there. I mean, I'm on a well and a septic and I'm just fine with that. Where I think they're worried that they're gonna get forced into being a party to that.
Typically with an annexation, there's 3 parties, right? There's the township, the landowner, and the city. If 2 of the 3 want it to happen, it's hard for the other one to stop it. If you're not selling, we're not gonna say, the city would be the only one saying, hey, we wanna annex it. And under certain circumstances, they can, but we would never say, hey, you need
Yeah.
to sell it.
Yeah, okay.
Usually with the extension of services to large acreage lots, it's when 2 circumstances usually occur. One, those property owners are asking for city services, and we won't extend services to outside the city, so annexation is part of the deal typically. Or we're being told we have to. Let's say everybody's septic is failing, and the MPCA comes in and says you need to extend sewer services, or something else is going on, where we're directed to do it. And then again, annexation would be part of the deal if we're providing services. But if you just happen to be adjacent to the city limits, there's no compelling reason for us to extend
yeah.
services or to do annexation if nothing's happening from a development standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I assume that, but I gotta ask.
It's a valid question.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, talk to my neighbors a lot. They're concerned about it. I don't know if I'd quite agree with everyone's excitement about this as you guys. No one's really happy about it, but like I said, progress is inevitable. I'm not here to try to stop it. I'm just trying to ask some questions and hope for the best.
No, I appreciate you coming and asking these questions. That's
Yeah.
huge. Like, that's how you get answers and you
Yeah.
provide your perspective on things. It's very helpful for us.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people moved out here just for the country lifestyle, but again, like I knew it was inevitable at some point. That nice sunset we get's gonna go away and be houses, but that's all I can ask. There's a silver lining to it, bike trails, things for kids to do, parks, stuff like that. So, like I said,
Regarding the alignment of the road, sorry, go ahead.
what's that?
No more dust coming in your garage?
Yeah, that's been a ongoing battle with the township as well, but like I said, I picked it, so
I guess just regarding the alignment, I was just looking at the road, so the roadway is about 70, center line of your driveway to center line of roadway is about 70 feet
Yeah.
offset to the
Yeah.
south. And with Dakota being paved to south, we would anticipate most people are likely going south out of there.
yeah.
So I wouldn't anticipate.
As much,
headlights
yeah,
going right up your-
right up the driveway or across the
Yeah,
front.
so it is offset, and like I said, I think that it's gonna help.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not-
it's
not necessarily going directly into the.
it's on my garage side. I'm not overly concerned about it. Like I said, I got my boss to answer questions too. So urban reserve, is that just like farmland versus the R2?
It's just kind of a zoning designation we give that pretty much essentially this is gonna be developed sometime
Yep.
in the near future, so.
Okay. Reserved for, urban.
Think of it as a holding district until it gets guided to what its ultimate land use is gonna be.
Okay. All right. And then, I suppose you got a few more hoops to jump through before all this gets put in motion, sounds like?
So the next step after this, the planning commission's being asked to make a recommendation on the preliminary plat. That has to go to the council for approval. Then the developer needs to come back with a final plat for each phase of the development. So, normally what would happen is if the preliminary plat gets approved, the developer will go, they will prepare a final plat that addresses the conditions and things that we want fixed with it before they come back. And the difference between the preliminary plat and the final plat, preliminary plat you can think of as more two-dimensional and layout.
Yeah.
Final plat is actually full construction drawings. It's a little bit, there's a higher level of detail and refinement
Yeah, you need all the civil drawings in order and pass through engineering.
Yep, that does not, the final plat does not come back through this body, it goes directly to the city council.
Okay.
The timing of that is really dictated by the developer, how quickly.
Who they can turn it around, yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you're welcome to go to the city council meeting and share your thoughts and opinions there
Yeah.
too. As well as your neighbors as well, so.
okay.
We're just here to kind of checks and balances and see that. things
Yeah.
Require, meet requirements.
So I received a letter about this meeting. Do you know who that actually got sent out to? Was it just anyone that requested it, or was it citywide?
Isn't it a certain
The
distance?
state law requires any 350 feet, any
Okay.
property within 350 feet
Okay.
of proposed development is required.
So that was kind of the same for the get to know you meeting they had. It was just like 10 people essentially, you know?
I believe that's what we recommended to them.
Okay.
I'm not sure what they actually mailed out.
That's, yeah, okay. All right. And then so regarding the power lines and stuff, do you know if that's all just gonna stay hanging over there, or they gotta do something about that when they build a road? Is it gonna get buried?
I don't know that.
Nobody knows yet?
Are you
Okay.
talking along Dakota?
Yeah,
Generally, the stuff along Dakota, the stuff interior to the development will be in.
yeah. Like the overhead stuff in Dakota just stays that way.
Usually,
Okay.
typically, since it's a rural section.
Yeah, there's no reason to change it. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right, I think that's what I got for now, so thanks for, your time, everyone.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. McDevitt, we can kind of show you the alignment and how this plays out. Yeah.
Brandon, do we have anybody online? We don't. Okay, all right. So I will ask again if anyone wants to step up to the podium, make a comment regarding this request to rezone property from urban reserve to R2. Please do so. And I gotta ask a third time. If anybody would like to step up to the podium to make a comment on the rezoning of the property from urban reserve to R2, please do so. Okay, I will close the public hearing at 7:52 PM. All right. Any other comments or questions from the planning commission? regarding this?
I really appreciate the forethought that's going into the park that's being planned, so then any future growth to the south, that will also be incorporated. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you, staff.
I think it's gonna be one of the, if not the nicest park in town in maybe a decade, so.
All right. Brendan, are you able to pull up the staff?
Yes.
recommendation? Thanks.
Do you wanna start with this one?
Yeah, sure. So, because there were, how many other,
Well, there's this slide for the preliminary plat,
yep,
Or no,
or, I'm confused.
rezoning.
yeah.
There we,
Okay.
sorry.
No, you're good. There's several, so I want to make sure we get them.
What page was it on the presentation?
I am not sure. I was trying to find it, and it was taking me a while to.
Yeah, that's what we're
I think we're
doing
looking for
first,
the
right?
rezoning right now, so
The whole thing.
let me pull up the packet, give me just a second.
14.
All right, here we go.
What happened to my page number?
All right, so regarding staff recommendations to, so they're requesting us to rezone the property from urban reserve to urban single-family residential, R2, based on the findings, which are listed in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do you want me to read those? No? Okay.
No.
Any concerns or questions about those?
I'm just about to pull it up right now, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I found it.
don't have any concerns. It's, yeah. So,
Could make a recommendation.
okay, thank you. So Brad makes a recommendation. Anyone wants to second?
I'll second.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And then the second one is the preliminary plat. So staff recommend that the request for the preliminary plat be approved for Eagle View Meadows containing 194 lots, 6 outlots on 81.83 acres. For the following reasons, and with the conditions listed 1 through 10.
Yes.
All right. Any concerns or questions about those?
So is this the one that had the, current storm, or the current, pond in it, or whatever, the wetland?
Yeah.
Yes.
wetland,
Yeah.
The one that it already says it in here?
Yeah, so it's dependent on the, this whole preliminary plat is dependent on the approval of that wetland replacement plan. I believe that's number 2 in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, because I know that was a comment made.
Yes, sir.
Joe? Want to do it up?
Want to make a
I'll make a
recommendation?
recommendation.
Okay. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great, so then we're on to general business. Zoning- Thank you,
guys.
appreciate your time. Zoning ordinance amendment discussion, residential decks.
Yeah, I can pull something up if you'd like, but I think it's simple enough to just talk through. So the goal of this is to amend something in our side setbacks for decks. So it's been 10 feet for a long time, side setback for decks, but when we're approving these developments with 7-foot side setback, for example, it just kind of defeats logic if it's 10 feet off, because, for example, we have multiple houses trying to build it adjacent, even parallel with the side of their house, but I'm telling them they have to go 3 feet further in, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So the ask would be, if you're supportive of it, next meeting I'd bring an ordinance for you guys to, so we can amend that. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other, no, okay, perfect.
All right, miscellaneous, community development updates?
I was hoping that, we don't have many updates, I was just hoping that Tom could maybe speak to the community development director position and the status of that,
Sure.
since you're here.
So, as you know, we've been looking to a backfill position after Jake went to Prior Lake. And initially, we were looking for that to be a senior planner position for succession purposes within the department. It's no secret that Renee's not retiring tomorrow, but you can see it from here, right? So, we wanted to bring on somebody more senior. And what we found is that there just wasn't anybody out in the market in that position. And that process took us close to a year.
It felt like it, I don't know.
So, the runway got even shorter, and so we felt that the option at that point was to basically upgrade to a community development director, the person who's basically gonna provide the leadership in the department for the next decade or more. So we did post for that. We ended up interviewing, one candidate. It is actually the senior planner from the city of Savage, Jared, Winter, and he interviewed very well. We moved him on to the council. So, like for Brandon's position, I make the final call. But when you're talking a department head position, that's got to go to the council for final decision. So he's gone through the 2 normal interview panels, but he's going to council for, the final evaluation. That will be the April 9th meeting. He'll be doing an interview with the council as well as giving a presentation on a mock item. And then at that point, if the council blesses him, then we will move him forward into background. And if everything comes back great, make him an offer for the position. Given those timelines, I think it's probably realistic to assume that the earliest start date would be the beginning of May, but possibly closer to mid-May. So, and then we'll have a new face in the department. Do you have any questions for me and Brandon on anything else that's going on in the city? I do. Or how well Luke did in his bracket picks?
Sorry to disappoint, but I did not do a bracket this year, actually, so.
I didn't either.
I'm like middle of the pack.
I did, and I forgot to submit. I forgot to hit submit.
I found myself at the bottom the last handful of years, so I decided it was time to take a year off.
I don't have any questions on that.
Is there any movement on the land here or just Neeson, Nice?
Which property?
Neeson, Nice?
Brian and Nick's.
No, they haven't, nothing specific, no. There've been inquiries about it, but I guess I wouldn't characterize it more than that at this point, so.
Is it listed or something or not?
I don't know if it's formally listed.
It's Renee's expertise. I have absolutely no idea.
Any other questions, Kevin? Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.